All right, so we're talking about fitting for hybrids, getting yourself fit properly for hybrids. Now, the first question is, well, when do I get fit for hybrids? I like to think that you get fit for hybrids when you get your new set of irons. You go at the exact same time, and I'll get to that in just a second. If you're not getting a new set of irons, but you need to get some hybrids, you need to pay attention to what we're going to discuss right now, because this is critical. If you don't have a hybrid in your bag, you ought to have a hybrid in your bag. And the reason why is they're easier to hit. It's just that simple. The center of gravity is lower, and it's farther away from the face, so it's going to throw this ball up into the air. It's going to give you a little bit more trajectory to that. This is what I want to show you. Let me get my 5-iron here. I'm going to hit a couple shots. And when I hit this 5-iron, this is going to give us an indication of strike on the ball is going to be pretty solid, hopefully. So there's my strike on the ball. Now come on over here, Tony. And when we come over here, what we're going to see is a couple things. First thing that we're going to see is we're going to look at what happens with the launch angle. So my launch angle here is about, let's just say 19 degrees. I got about 192 yards out of that. Pretty good shot, not a lot of spin on that. The spin rate's about 4,500. Now, I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to get this hybrid. Nice driving there. Tony, you missed it. Well done. I thought you were going to step on that. Give yourself a little. Okay, so now I've got a 5 hybrid. Now we're going to hit this. Now let's look at what this shot does. So the last one that I hit, that went about 193 yards. This one here went about 200 yards. So these hybrids are going to go a little bit farther. That's 203, about 10 yards farther. But what you want to pay attention to, and really the key to this whole thing, is this launch angle number right here, 20 degrees. So what happened was, I was able to create more distance, and I was able to create a higher trajectory. Now, what does the higher trajectory mean? Well, what it means is that when the golf ball comes down onto the green, it's coming down onto the green from a higher spot. So it's going to be softer. So if you're playing, and let's say that your 6-iron, you hit really nicely, but it doesn't really get very high in the air. And then the 5-irons, you don't really make solid contact to it. Well, what you need to do is you need to get yourself a hybrid so that you can get this ball to get up into the air. The other thing that you're going to notice, and we talked about that, was the distance that the ball is going to travel. The reason why that happens is not only is there more mass, these are the same lofts. Both of these clubs have 27 degrees of loft. But look at the difference in the length of the shaft. This hybrid shaft is about 1 inch longer than the shaft that I've got in my 5-iron. So that added length in the shaft is going to give me added length in the distance. So when you're hitting your say 5-iron and you're not able to get the distance that you seek because it doesn't fit into the contact point isn't solid enough, well, what ends up happening is you get yourself a hybrid, and now all of a sudden it's more forgiving. You get the distance that you're looking for. The thing that you want to pay attention to when you're getting fit for a hybrid club is really what we call the gap. And the gap is the distance that the ball's going to travel. So if I hit my 5-iron 190 yards, I'm going to get a club with a hybrid that's going to go 190 yards or 200 yards or whatever. I would not pay attention to necessarily what the loft says on this, but rather how far it goes. Because remember, you want this to go 10 yards farther than the next one that you've got. Now, this is critical for you, particularly if you've got a slower club head speed. That slower club head speed, this is going to help you a great deal. If you're one of those people that has a little bit more club head speed, then one of the things that you can do is get one of these driving irons, this driving iron right here, and I'll hit this. This is a 4-iron. This thing is going to come out. It's a little bit more forgiving. My long irons tend to go a little bit lower, so what we do is we get a little driving iron, and there's a little bit more mass here. There's a little bit more mass at the bottom down towards the sole of the club. And so when we hit this, this is going to That's going to jump up into the air quite nicely for me. It's also going to go the distance that I want to go.